church, we have an identity that a lot of people are a little muddy about. I like it that way. I really do. We can have some really great services of just prayers and praise, but we have a connection to the Apostolic Church through our worship and our sacraments, through our holy orders, through the office of the bishop. And it allows us to have Holy Communion. See, when we talk about Holy Communion in the sacraments, a lot of people nowadays, and I'm finding this, the more time I spend in traditional circle and more Protestant colleges and circles, they shy away from this concept of Jesus Christ being truly present in the Eucharist. Now, the Eucharist is the Greek word for Thanksgiving, okay? And what that is when they talk about the communion service in the New Testament, the Thanksgiving is always precedent there. So it was named the Eucharist. Now, as part of this Thanksgiving, it is our thanks back to God for what He has done to us in Jesus Christ. Now, today's reading, first and foremost, answers one of the great big questions that I get asked when we talk about the real presence of Jesus Christ in the bread and the wine. Now, first of all, we might say, what is the real presence? What are you even talking about? So when we talk about the real presence, we are talking about meeting Jesus Christ in the sacrament that He laid out for us. At the Last Supper, He told His disciples, do this in remembrance of me. So as oft as you do it, He broke bread, He gave them wine, He told them to eat and to drink. And in John chapter 6, He goes on to tell them, you must eat and drink my flesh and my blood if you're to have any part of me. Well, in this feeding of 4,000, Jesus is giving us a clear example of how He's going to continue to give Himself to us after He's resurrected and ascended. You see, it was 7 loaves of bread that fed 4,000. So somehow, with the miraculous power of God, those 7 loaves were substance to all of those people. Those few fish fed everyone, and then had enough left over of 7 baskets. Now, we think the 7 baskets is just, it's just 7 baskets. Well, hold on for a minute. 7 loaves, 7 baskets. The number 7 biblically has often been referred to as the perfect number. It's seen a lot in Scripture where we want to display the preparation of God for some great event. The 7 days of creation are a great example. When we look at these things and we say there were 7 loaves and 7 baskets taken up, we know that, maybe it wasn't exactly 7 loaves that the guy had. We can read other accounts. It's a very symbolic number. It's to let us know that they did not have enough in man's eyes, but they had more than enough with the power of God. So when we go back to Romans and we talk about Paul's writings, again, we are seeing that we are living through the power of Jesus Christ. And it is only through Jesus Christ that we can accomplish the goals and the ministries that we have. We can all agree on this. We all know that as Christians, and the greater whole of Christendom, Catholic, Protestant, Anglican, we all agree on this. We of ourselves are of no effect. We are miserable offenders. And we ourselves have to have the power of Christ to affect anything. Now, when He does this, the substance of the bread is spread out to 4,000 people. In the same way, through Holy Communion, we know that He can, just as easily as He did that miracle, let His flesh and blood be distributed out to billions over time. And why do we know that it continues? Because those 7 baskets were the perfect amount, again, the number of perfection, that came back to them. what was that for? It was to feed again and again. God's miraculous power doesn't end when the hype is over. It doesn't end when the crowds go home. The miraculous power of God always continues to roll on through the church. This is where people get dicey, especially here in America. We have this rugged individualism, and we really hate to think we need each other. It's the darndest thing. We can be in the worst shape, especially men. You know, the axle's out from under our car, we're off in a ditch, and people stop to ask, "Nah, I got it, I'm good. I've got this, I have a plan." Usually that won't work, we end up calling a tow truck. But it's just sort of part of the American identity. But the truth of the gospel is that we are not intended to be these islands unto ourselves. We come back to the church because that's where the miracle came back to. It is from our substance. Look at what Jesus did. He gave thanks, the Eucharistia, and then sent his apostles. He didn't go around breaking off pieces of bread for all 4,000. He sent the apostles to give it out. And if we read, and I believe it's Luke's account of the feeding of 5,000, they talk a little bit more in depth about the numbers that they would break people down into. So at this point, the apostles were appointing leaders. That may have just been symbolic leaders for that day. It may have just been your roundtable buddy. But they were appointing people. This was really an early picture of how he was going to utilize the church to distribute the miraculous bread of his body. It's a good early picture of the sacrament. Now, it is a very important part of our faith. We really have to get our heads around some of this. Well, I say that because I ran into two gentlemen yesterday. And we got to talking, and neither of them were Christian. Both of them had some decidedly big issues with the Christian faith. And we just got to talking. And I was wearing my collar. I was out and about in town, and I happened to be in full clerical dress, black shirt, black collar, and I ran into him. We got to just a good conversation going. And the thing was, they had never heard about the resurrection. Not really. They knew he was raised, but they didn't get it. They didn't realize that Adam was the first Adam, Jesus was the second Adam. We fall under the first. We're redeemed under the second. That made perfect sense to them when it was laid out for them. There were little things that we went through and talked about with a little patience and a little kindness. I've got two gentlemen that I'm texting on a regular basis now and talking to that really haven't heard the faith from a, I'm not going to say, I'll say a competent perspective. You would be amazed at how many people we walk past every day don't know the love of Jesus Christ. And mostly it's because nobody has ever made the assumption that they need to be told. It was really surprising to me in the Bible Belt South that people hadn't heard some of the very basic concepts of faith. So I purpose today, and for the next few sermons particularly, lastly, when we were at the cathedral, I got to speak on baptism. So today we're speaking on communion and the meaning of communion. Because especially as our Facebook videos and things go out, I want people to understand what it means for an Anglican to look at the cup, to look at the bread, and when we partake of it, what does it mean? What has it mean for the last 2,000 years? So that leads me to my little closing comments. When I started looking into the church fathers today to research for the sermon, I found they're all pretty unanimous. Except the body and blood of Jesus Christ are truly present in the sacrament. When we take the bread and drink the wine, it is his body and it is his blood. Now, they don't go on into transubstantiationary talk. They don't do a lot of that. They don't try to explain it in a bunch of ways. Most of them have one allegory or another. But it was saint after saint after saint after church father, all the way back into the 200s and 300s. This is AD. This is 100 or 200 years after Jesus Christ has ascended unto heaven. These are the earliest writings of the church that we have, and they're unanimous in this. If I believe in the words of Jesus Christ, if I believe in his teachings, then why would I not want to draw as close to the Holy Eucharist, to the body and blood of Christ, as I could? It is what it is. Our world is in dire need of some truth and some substance. We have both. What I've said to you, I've said to you.